Yeah, I was a little nervous at halftime because the score was so high. Typically, that's not good for us, and that's what we kind of dealt with at halftime was, hey, we got to get back to trying to play our style and get away from playing their style. Now, they've made vast improvements in the last couple of weeks. I thought they did a really good job of controlling the action and getting the ball to their best players, and they're playing with much more discipline than they did at our place. So we were worried about it. Again, this league, it doesn't matter where you finish. From top to bottom, as you could tell by the tournament, every game's been close. So we're lucky to get out of it with a win. They're a good team.
Questions for the student athletes? We'll start here in front.
Yep.
And then we'll go across the aisle.
Alan Saunders, Pittsburgh Sports Now. Jimmy and Dae Dae seemed like early on, in both halves actually, you guys started out strong on defense. Like they missed their first 5 shots of each half. What was it about those time periods you felt like was working on defense, and how much was that a focus for you guys coming in?
Start with Jimmy, and then we'll go to Dae Dae.
I'll say you said that they were missing.
They were 0 for 5 to start the game, 0 for 5 to start the second half.
Okay, yeah. So our coach he had preached to just contest all jumpers and end each possession with a rebound. So that was just our main focus, and get to their main players and take away their strength. So that was our main focus for the beginning of the first half and the second half.
Dae Dae?
Piggybacking off, excuse me, what Jimmy was saying, just continue to stay gapped up, continue to play team defense, and just be there for one another. We try to continue to just harp on that and lay our hats on the line for one brother for another.
All right, on the other side here, first row.
Sam Maisel, House of College Hoops. Jimmy, you kind of led the way in, picking apart St. Louis in a turnover battle and then leading the way with 17 points off turnovers. You guys as a team, could you talk about, your focus in that department and then how that kind of reverberates to the rest of the team?
As a team, I feel like that's what we do. That's our strong suit is playing defense. So that was just the main focus, is play defense and get points off turnovers. That was our main focus as well.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Yep, the second row in the middle, yep.
For any of you guys, your thoughts on playing Dayton for a third time?
Start with David.
I'm ready. That's all I got to say.
We'll go to Jimmy.
Locked in.
Dae Dae.
I think we excited, man. I think we're excited. We're ready for the challenge. And we don't think nobody really want to play us, to be honest with you. But we're ready for our challenge.
Any more questions for the student athletes? We got one more over here. We got 2 more here in the third row on this side.
Dae Dae, you matched your career high in assists with 7 today. What were you seeing? What was the court opening up for you in a different way than normal?
Really, my teammates were hitting their shots, and I was finding them better than I was in other games, and I was just seeing a clear-cut pass for them.
And last question for the student athletes. Here you go.
For all you guys get your 21st win this season. It's just the 4th time in 60 years that's happened. Just continuing the accolades you guys have had, how big of it for you guys to continue the program development ahead of a huge matchup against Dayton?
Let's start with David, and we'll go down the row again.
I'm glad to be a part of such history, and I want to continue it as much as possible. I want to see where it goes. I want to go to the tournament. I want to go dancing, and Dayton is one more challenge for us, and we're ready for it.
Yeah, I had to just say the same, honestly.
We're just looking forward to everything. Continue to just work together. Continue to stick to being a brotherhood.
But
Okay.
It's definitely good to make history, though. We just want to make more.
Okay. Thanks, fellas.
Coach, a lot of the games this week, yesterday and today, have been a lot of back and forth, a lot of single possession margins, final scores. In a game, what does it say about this team that in the tournament you guys can kind of take control from the beginning and then never look back for 40 minutes?
Well, we had some rough moments. I mean, about, maybe 8, 9 games ago, Rick McFadden, at a timeout with 4 minutes to play, who's one of our assistant coaches, said to him, look, you guys are finally winners. Now act like winners and win the game. And from that point on, I felt like we made big strides at taking punches and delivering punches when we've gotten hit. And so I think we've become more of a winning team. I mean, it's evidenced by the stat sheet when you have 22 assists and 5 turnovers. And then we do, you know, we're not a finesse team, so we have to make sure that we try to out-tough people. And we made strides in that area. I don't think we're perfect, but look, I said it all along that this league is unbelievably balanced, and every game in this tournament has shown that. There's not much difference between A, B, C, D, and E. They're all good teams, good coaches. It's a hard league. So, you know, I liked the way we hung in there, you know, and I thought they were calm. And again, when you have Dae Dae that gets, you know, 7-2 and Jimmy goes 4-0, like that's not normal for them. They usually have a turnover or two, especially Jimmy. So when that happens, we're gonna win quite a few games.
You go across the aisle, stay in row 1.
Keith, you mentioned being a little nervous about the score. You end up scoring 83, you shoot over 50%. That's not necessarily your game, but what does it say about your team that you can play a game like that? And maybe, although you didn't want to necessarily tonight, there may be a time when you need to. I feel like that's kind of proving something that you guys don't have to just win ugly.
Well, the best teams in the country can play defense and offense. And again, we've made some good adjustments, you know, to try to find the right niche for our team. You know, I've been an inside-out coach most of my career, but we're definitely not an inside-out team. You know, we're an outside-in team. So, you know, we've had to find the right things for them. And again, I think Rick and Drew have done a really good job of that. You know, they've done a really good job of stealing other people's sets and, you know, just getting them in the right spots. And I think you're right. You got to be able to play fast. You got to be able to play slow. You got to be able to play man. You got to be able to play zone. You got to be able to press. You know, you have to play in a variety of ways to be a really good team. And so I feel like even though the numbers haven't indicated, I feel like we've played better offense over the last 10 games.
Come back to this side, we're in row 3.
Coach, what did Matusz Sharansky bring for you today that you felt confident giving him 2 shifts in the second half?
Well, I've said it all along. I think Matusz is a really good player. You know, I just think he needs time and confidence. And then, you know, about 3-4 weeks ago, you know, Drew and I talked and we said, look, we're going to have to live with some mistakes from him because he can really help us. He's big, he can shoot the ball, he knows how to play. He's a good teammate. So I think if we can keep surviving in the tournament, he becomes even more important and our bench becomes even more important, which we actually have the capabilities to be able to play 4 games where a lot of teams in this league don't. Because we have good, you know, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players, 14 players when you count DeMichael, right? Because he's a non-scholarship player, which, again, you look at his stat sheet, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but didn't look like he did much, but he was a plus 20. So he chased Jimerson around the whole game. So don't discount what he did tonight.
Across the aisle in row 2.
What are your thoughts on playing Dayton for a third time?
Well, lots of respect for Dayton. My dad had 1 million games against Dayton when they were both the best in the country. You know, against Coach Donaher was on that team and Ewell, and so I know a lot about Dayton basketball. I'm from Ohio, and a lot of our staff is from Ohio, so we have the utmost respect for Dayton. With that being said, we're going to try to compete and try to win. I thought we played a really good game at Dayton other than the last 5 minutes of the game, so we certainly are capable. They present some issues, you know, that are difficult, like when it comes to crunch time, the ball's going down in, and then they have the best 3-point shooting in the league, or one of the best. So you gotta be on it. So they popped us pretty good at the end of the last game, but I thought it was a misleading score. But you know, they got one of the best coaches in the country. They've got really good players. They're high character people. So we have a lot of respect. But with that being said, you know, we got to go in there and, you know, try to do our job.
Take one final question here in the front row.
When you're getting good defense, and then, you know, Jimmy's obviously a big part of that, and then he starts making threes like he did at the beginning of the second half. He's such an emotional guy. How does that kind of lift the whole team when you kind of get it working both ways like you did?
Well, Jimmy's the Pittsburgh Steeler. You know, steals. You know, he steals the ball. And, you know, he became a really good offensive player as he's progressed throughout his career. So, again, those guys are good players, so everybody has to worry about them, and then they make other players around them better. So, I have to say that my wife was at the game tonight, and I'm really excited about that. That's the first game she came to all year. So, if she didn't win tonight, then she could never come to another game again, because that's kind of how superstitious baseball players are. But I was thankful that she was able to make the trip, and you know, it means a lot to me. So I had to mention that. Sorry you didn't ask that question, but I had to mention it. And then I also have to mention that Dave Sabo, you know, won that Lifetime Award. You guys all know about that. So I was fortunate enough to work with Dave and Jim and some of the best sports information directors I've ever been around. So congrats, Dave. You really deserve that. I appreciate you.